much.
All right, I'd now like to recognize Representative David Schweikert, the gentleman from Arizona who came from the same hearing, I believe. Of course, we all know David is a proud fiscal hawk, has been talking about these issues for a long, long time. He serves on the Ways and Means Committee and is chairman, doing great work as chairman of the Bicameral Joint Economic Committee as well. I've appreciated your work there. So thank you for being here.
Okay, and Mr. Chairman and Jody, I want you to hear one sentence. My request is actually a fairly simple one of the Budget Committee. I'd actually like you to use as much real math in your projections. I have a handful of PhD economists over the Joint Economic Committee. And we've gone around and around over the last few years. So some of this predates almost anyone in this room, where we have laid out what we see happening. And our great sin is we don't tell the truth. What drives U.S. sovereign debt? You know, I want to blame the Democrats want to blame me. It's interest and demographics. We functionally have the same number of 18-year-olds today as we had 20 years ago. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to actually submit this for your records, but particularly for anyone, your PhDs in economics, because I'm sure you have some, in statistical analysis and budget, to understand the scale of what's going on. And my proof of concept is very simple. Go back to the beginning of this calendar year, and the numbers that you and we all went around and around and around on. Where are we at? Okay, moment of honesty. So we're what, 72, 73 days into this fiscal year. From October 1st till just before Christmas, we're going to borrow another $1 trillion. So far this fiscal year, now look, there's timing effects, there's the bubble, there's when certain tax receipts come in, but the fact of the matter is, even annualized, we're over $71,000 a second in borrowing. This fiscal year, we're like $148,000 a second borrowing. And the left wants to say it's tax cuts, we want to say it's excessive spending, it's everything. Simple, basic math. You add up, and I've done floor speech after presentation after floor speech, add up every scored tax hike the left has offered, you get 1.5% of GDP. Almost every cut you and I have advocated for, I get about 1% of GDP. We got ourselves a big 2.5. We tell the truth for the internal borrowing, because we've got to pay back the internal borrowing with interest. We borrowed almost 7.2, 7.3% of the entire GDP last year. So if I 7 here, and the left and the right's total solutions only coming in at 2.5, you now have a government that is an insurance company with an army. We're actually working on a data set right now that says the liabilities and unfunded liabilities of the United States exceed all wages for the future, all wages. In 7 years, the Medicare Trust Fund is empty. In 7 years, the Social Security Trust Fund is empty. If you intend to take that out of the general fund, as some of our colleagues on the left, okay, we calculate that as first year, so 2033, $630 billion, so functionally 60% of the entire defense budget. And it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. It's demographics. It makes it very hard for those of us who come to you, go on the floor, go to our own committees, and say, there's revolutions in technology. We've tried to provide that there's optimism. If obesity, and I'm just going to do this one because it's easy, but there's dozens of these, is we've calculated is 9.1 trillion additional healthcare costs over 10 years. 9.1 trillion, so functionally the entire defense budget. And remember, defense now is number 5 in spending. It's not number 1, it's number 5 in spending. What the president did last week on access to glue tights and those things, we're actually sort of modeling what would its economic impacts be. I beg of you, no more 1990s sounding solutions coming from the left or the right. Synthetic biology, AI, robotics, tax code, regulatory codes, removing the barriers of innovation. So many of the things that would crash the price of healthcare are illegal because we put up barriers to the very technology that would provide access, make things cheaper, healthier. I know it, forgive my language, pisses off the army of lobbyists outside this door. Maybe time we tell the truth about the math and also the fact there's a way to make it work. We don't have much more time. I know I'm against but in 8 years, 9 years, 30% of all US tax receipts is just interest. If interest rates go up 1%, 45% of all US tax receipts in 9 years are interest. This year, for every dollar we take in, we're gonna spend $1.43. Every solution you're gonna hear here is based on math that I believe is not truthful, and we're not being bold enough. With that, I yield.
Thank you, Mr. Schweikert. That's very stark reality that you're describing, and appreciate you being a voice on this. We must address it, and it is a math problem, clearly. And without objection, we will enter your submission into the record. So thank you so much for being here.